Good morning, good evening, and happy time zone. I am Long-Fang, and this is the discussion for session 2 of the Ashes of History Chronicle. If you have not yet listened to it, please feel free to go ahead and do so. It's been a ride. So, let's get right into it. Over the course of the downtime, the lupines, having made their promise to decimate, literally, the Roman forces, are making a good show of it. They have killed off 100 soldiers in just a couple of weeks, and are moving towards that goal in the hopes of pressuring Justinian to come out of hiding, or at least make it to the point where it's so uncomfortable that he has no choice but to do something from pressure from the, other supernaturals in the city. So far, that has not yet been the case. I kind of expected the PCs to start pressuring him or talking to him, but that didn't happen. Nobody sought up him at all. They decided instead to try to deal with things on their own in different ways. Beatrice, of course, went to the guards and tried to encourage them to pull back. Wasn't completely successful, but it planted the seeds for something further down the road, and that was good. Now, as for the rest of the group, I think the most overtly off-the-wall decisions came from Nemain. For some reason, Nemain has decided that the werewolves just have to go. And part of that was from a series of really bad rolls from the compulsions. But some of it was just a choice. And it led to a search for silvered weapons, which they did find a handful of them. But, it's mostly for this point for self-defense, and that's what they said. They're just getting defensive weapons. In any case, it's not necessarily going to do them a ton of good unless things get to a physical altercation with the lupines, which it could, but if it does, that's not necessarily a good thing. Pound for pound, werewolves generally are stronger than vampires are. There may be exceptions on a case-by-case basis, but with their rage to call on, they are generally more physically adept. Now, Fang could probably hang for a little while. Of them, he is probably the only one that can hang in there. But he also respects the, Geru too much to do so. So I don't think that's very likely. In any case, it has led to some interesting internecine roleplay between Nemain and the rest of the coterie, where, Curvis really doesn't care, and Seti doesn't even believe that werewolves exist still. But Beatrice and Lucille and Donico are trying to convince her that werewolves are good guys, because traditionally, the wolves are the protectors of the wild, and therefore they are the defenders of the land. There's nothing wrong with them being around. They're supposed to be there. It's just taking a little while for that to filter through. So, at the very end of that session, there actually another werewolf came into town, which Nemain almost got set off again, kind of. She did have a very interesting interaction with him, because Galen, that's the guy who was there, came in. He was a merchant trader. He came in to sell the soldiers that he had just, he hadn't personally, but he had, quote-unquote, acquired 10 Centurion full kits, which were in obvious post-combat condition. So he was a werewolf, and his werewolf friends had taken them out, and now he was coming in to sell the stuff and scout out the city. And they bought it. They absolutely bought all the stuff that he came in to sell. And Nemain tried to tell his fortune and succeeded to press a silver coin into his hand, trying to get him to lose his cool, I guess. But he kept it together. And he made a very, I guess I don't know if it was a threat or a promise, but he told her that he'd be back to see her in just a few weeks on the new moon, which would be the rest of their next downtime. The other side thing that's going on in the town is the appearance and presence of a fae. It's a puka. Looks kind of like a Saturn. The whole interactions with it, because Seti is the one who saw it, and Seti doesn't believe in these things. So even though he drew it and showed it to people, the other people believe it's there, but Seti doesn't, because his brain has been messed with so much by Curvis. Curvis routinely wipes Seti, his child's memory, just to, manipulate and control him. And it has affected his ability to determine what is real and what is fake. And so he doesn't believe that he's actually seeing these things. He thinks that he's hallucinating. He thinks that the visions he has from his auspex are hallucinations. They don't necessarily mean anything, which disturbs him even more when they do come to pass or something similar to them does. So those are the other things that are going on in the city. The other PCs are absolutely thrilled with the possibility of a fae being around. They're like setting out goodies for it. And yeah, it's kind of hilarious. They're trying to adopt the thing as a pet. Now, some may question why. We're in an urban setting. It is London. But I'm introducing primarily non-vampire elements. And here's why. We are on the frontier. London is an urban area-ish. Very-ish. It is a city because it is 60,000 people. But at the same time, this is smack dab in the middle of some significant wilderness on the edge of the known world to them. Most of the countryside isn't even considered quote-unquote civilized. They're barbarians around here. And since the city is near capacity, it's difficult to add more vampire elements at this point in the city. But it is far more easy to show off that the vampires are not alone. The kindred are not by themselves in this great big supernatural world. So I can introduce elements like the Fae and Geru and the Magi, ghosts or wraiths. All of these things tie into the world of darkness. Nothing stands by itself in a vacuum. Everything interacts with everything else. So it makes perfect sense for them to be encountering these kinds of things. Now, they absolutely will begin to encounter other vampires as we move forward, just like they will encounter more supernatural elements. Things at some points will get weird, but that's okay, because the supernatural world that we see in the World of Darkness setting is weird and wonderful and just kind of badass. So that was where their session ended, with them talking to Galen, and then Nemain. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot the ending here. Nemain raised a dead in the middle of Curvis's market compound and made it dance in front of all the people that were there. And then Curvis decided that he was going to cash in on it by setting up a stall for her. And she's actively selling her services as a seer and as somebody who communicates with the dead. Wow. I'm just having to figure out how I'm going to handle all that, because people fear what they don't understand. But at the same time, the supernatural is far more accepted as part of everyday life at this point in time than it is in the modern day. I'm thinking that she will get some takers, but at the same time, there will be a wariness to the general public around her. And there may come a point where that wariness flips over into aggression. But it hasn't reached that point yet. It probably won't for some time. Not unless she really pisses off somebody. So, I guess we'll just have to see what happens next. Next session will be session 3. That will end our first arc, which is good, because that's what I was shooting for. Right around 3 sessions, maybe up to 5, before we move further on in the timeline. So, until next time, and stay hungry.